Okay, that should be me live. Mr. Jones, good afternoon, good day. Feels like I've done half a day's work already. It's super warm, so this isn't good. Okay, so last week we were working on the percentage, and all them days. Working on the percentage, displaying that, but I've been breaking the stories up into UI and API. So the problem here I have is that I don't actually have the percentage to use. So I've got two options. I either make that happen now, or I actually assume the API and mock this out with that, so that it is ready when I do the API side of things. Which is probably the smarter thing to do at this point. Hi, Lindell, how you doing? So let's start this up and see. My apologies for the... We can log in. We can get our list of friends. This is our share code. This is our target. We can log 24 ounces of water, 9% of our daily consumption. So what we're looking for here is we want to put essentially, right, hi. I'm not bad. It's a little warm in here today, so two computers blowing out heat is definitely not good. I'm wondering if for the summer I switch to single PC streaming and just install OBS on my dev machine, because yeah, because I've had dual PC for a while, because I do want to stream games and things like that, and having it all on the dev PC. I like having the separate responsibilities. So I have a dev machine that is just pure dev. I have a game machine that's just pure gaming. I have a stream PC just for that. So, and then, independent hardware means I don't have to worry about one affecting the other. Rambling Geek, hello, how you doing? Using the solid principles for streaming, yeah. Holy, did you go to bed last night, Deflux? 7:11 a.m. You pulling all nighter? So, yeah, I actually went to bed at like 10:30 last night. I was like, I'm done. I finished the stream yesterday, and I'm like, I'm now exhausted, so I'm going to bed. People planning meetings less than 9 a.m. and personification of saying. Yeah. I don't get why people would. I mean, some people like to get things out of the way so they can be more productive during the middle of the day. So yeah, I'm with you. I scheduling a meeting at 8 a.m. People aren't engaged, especially on a Monday. I was about to say exactly the same thing. You know, people just aren't enabled yet. I don't know anyone like that. Good morning, one line. Yeah, I suppose you kind of. I mean, but you don't go scheduling meetings like that, do you? Because you've been up for 4 hours already. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. What I need to do is, so I actually did, so Deflux was helping me with Fluent UI yesterday, and I realized I actually already put it into this project. Does that mean we can expect more obscure conversations about water monitoring? We can have Thindles, Dukas, more abstractions. Oh, good. Duke in my variable is my best variable name. Okay. I actually think if I got to stream my work, I probably would be a lot more productive. Like if something like the Agile project platform was my full-time job, that would be awesome. Duke of variable. That's awesome. I'm not doing that. I can't. My brain can't cope with that. So I have to find a term of people who do not put keys inside their freaking. Doesn't make the code complicated at all. To start off, it's still only going to 2 hours a day, but back to 5 days a week. I'm still not going to stream work stuff until we finish Final Man. Nice. What keys defaults? I know we talked yesterday about this. Like connection strings for me, development connection strings are okay to go in the repository. Don't ever commit production connection strings. Those should always be kept private. Like, because actually in the last place I worked, we basically agreed that our development databases were going to be local, so they'd have no password on them. So they'd just be like, it just looked like a dumb connection string, like a template. Oh. Oh. Yeah. And it's committed to the repository. Oh. I've never been spammed to the dark below and back because I committed actual third-party service keys and pushed to GitHub. Yeah, we all do it. GitHub was really, really good detection for now it does, yeah. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. On the bad side, it took about 4 minutes and my email service key started being abused. Yep. So that, and then keys you need to talk to APIs to in plain text in the code. Some people just don't like the inconvenience of having to go and pull it from somewhere else. Nice. Okay, so where's the docs I had up yesterday? I closed everything. I did. Oh, I forgot I gave you VIP. I was like, why is that just so? Oh, he's got VIP. Oh dear. Fluent UI Blazor.net. Do we have a progress bar? Yes, we do. Large. Yeah, development teams choose some odd practices at times. And normally that sort of stuff comes from people who are just kind of throwing it together quickly and it's kind of caught up with them. Where things get committed to the DB. And then it's like, oh, well, we need to do that. And that's the sort of thing we were talking about last week about, when work just keeps getting bumped over in subsequent retrospectives. Why I just read the word ed. Why retrospectives aren't as effective as they need to be, and you should be making sure you change things mid-sprint, because people do that sort of stuff. Like, yeah, we don't forget we need to remove the keys. Yeah, okay. And then next retrospective, yeah, we really should move those keys when we get some time. I asked Ed if they had a way to style their controls with Fluent. I got a question back if that was an actual case or just something for lols. So local setting JSON, I haven't actually used local setting JSON. That's like machine specific, right? That's the sort of stuff that you might not want to commit or have a git ignore on, and that has settings that the developer needs. Okay, gotcha. That's why I've not used it then. I suppose I'd have app settings.development or something like that, right? Yeah, that's the development one. That's the one I'm thinking of. This doesn't matter, by the way. This project is meant for everyone to be able to check it out and work with it, so this is perfectly fine. But this does actually point the problem, right? You won't want your signing key necessarily. I mean, it's the JOT signing key, but you wouldn't want that actually put into the repo. But no, I'm secretly trying to get the code base to the level and skill that one line puts out so I can stream working on it. I mean, the actual co-working thing, I personally don't get it. Right, sitting there with someone working and just having their camera up. Right, I know you did that the other week, Findle, and BBB does it. I don't get it. That's become more common. I don't know where that came from. Well, like you think you have to mock the whole database and test and so on. The mostly just keep asking. Right, I get the whole. I mean, that's what streaming can work as, right? Streaming can work as a focusing tool, and I kind of use it that way. But yeah, the whole co-working thing. I've tried to sit there and have a co-working stream up, but yeah, it's just company throughout the day. But who? Because if you're in chat and you want to have company, you have to kind of engage. So you're talking with other chat. You're not focused on your stuff necessarily. But I mean, each one of us has a different way of working, a different way of thinking. You know, I've got to the point where I actually can't listen to music while I code. So if I'm watching a co-working stream and kind of aligning my work to that, then I've got to turn that stream off so I don't even know when they come back. So I've tried Pomodoro timer. And yeah, it's right. You spend 10 minutes catching up, not having context of what's said. Yeah, I mean, it's working for BBB. BBB is putting out more content. The stream is generally very full. You know, great viewership numbers for a stream where you sat there, what people watching you. Both the streamer and the viewer, they listen to his music and work while he's working, then have a break when he stops. To be clear, I'm not sure. Yeah, I get the alignment with that. I'd actually have to mute the stream because I can't listen to music. I tried. I actually tried putting music on the stream a couple of weeks ago. And I had to turn it off immediately because I couldn't talk and listen to music. I seem to have developed some sort of issues there. It used to be fine, but these days I can't listen to music and talk at the same time. My brain won't let me concentrate on the two. Or I find myself listening to the music and not being able to concentrate on what I want to say. So I'd have to mute the stream, which kind of makes it a non-starter. Any music. I can't do it. It's very weird. Fluent progress. Is this just going as a fluent progress? Yeah, it does. N equals 0. 100. 5 equals 42. Changes made. You have to restart the application anyway. Next meeting of the day. Have fun, Thindle. Hope it's a productive one. I can't do it with lyrics, but instrumentals I'm okay with. Yeah, I've tried stream music. I've tried all sorts, and I can't focus. It's weird. Okay, so they're not. So I don't need percentage as a label. Oh, but it needs a number. Gotcha. Does that need a Fluent stack? Yeah, apparently I already included it in WDW. Determinate. Are they? It looks like there's a default. I don't have to set. Let's put in a Fluent stack and see. Shouldn't have to do that, surely. Stop, start. Yep. Test. No, no. Yeah, I added the margin, but no progress bar. That's wrong as well. That should be loaded. That's a weird one. It comes in. That's actually a bug to chase down if anyone's interested. Fluent progress. So I don't need the stack, that's for certain. I'm going to move this over here just quickly so there's so I can see the changes. So don't need to worry. Fluent progress. Progress and progress ring use the display. You don't have to include anything, right? Code setup. Add component providers. Toast dialog tooltip. Meeting cancelled, the best kind of meeting. Nice. I don't think I actually used the Fluent dialog box, did I? Or maybe I did. No, modal. Blazor Bootstrap. So I got Blazor Bootstrap and Fluent installed. So I might have some fun here. Yeah, you might as well, right? So nothing telling me I have some Tailwind for good measure. Did you use scripts and CSS in this one? I believe I did. This is the other project. This is the water drink water project. So I actually already had Fluent installed, so that's when using SSR. Optional. Add imports. What scripts and CSS do I need to add? Because none of this says I need to add anything. If I go to layout, main layout, Right there it says scripts and CSS. That says if you're using SSR, okay. So add that in AppRaiser. In AppRaiser? No, layout. Main layout. Hi, Kenny, how you doing? Only cans. Slow Wi-Fi. This is a WASM project, yes. This one's Blazor WASM. Blazor WebAssembly. If we hadn't been all rah HTTPS, I would have added a proxy to replace all images with cans of conserved food. Yeah, that's a little excessive. So I still need this script. When using SSR, you will need to include the component script in your AppRaiser. There is no Blazor script being loaded. Use that script will also not get loaded. So you think I need that? And that's a JavaScript. And that's optional. Reboot CSS. What reload succeeded? Hot to reload. All loaded. Width is pixels. Stroke equals large. Oh, there we go. You need a width. Span class B. What are these ones now? I wanna. That won't do what I want. That won't do. I've got absolutely zero intelligence as well. That won't do what I want. That'll give me weird padding. That kind of works. Any way of adding a hint to that? So ultimately, the idea of this is, I mean, we might obviously change this out, but see the progress of your friends. If they're, if it's midday and their bar's down here, be able to nudge them and have them, hey, by the way, you probably want to drink some water. That's the intention there. Hey, daughter, how you doing? Good morning. Got feedback on the colours of my website. Oh, joy. An hour and a half of feedback, basically. Oh, that's quite, colours are so complicated. Yeah, I was watching Excel Camille the other day. And he spends so long just pulling colours apart and looking at different colours on different colours, etc. Is it WCAG? Yeah. And he was trying to make it align to this, and he spent 3 or 4 hours easily, just looking at the colours. There's a tool that I've not got installed in here. I've got it installed in Chrome because this tool, which is VisBug, and it gives you some inspection tools. I spent 16 hours on the website this weekend, all on colours. Yeah. I think it's this one he used. Basically, he had a tool and it would tell him the colour and it would tell him how accurate it was and how permissive it was, like how compliant it was with those WCAG guidelines. I think it was this VisBug, but accessibility, yeah. There you go. So the black on white background is fully compliant. But that colour to the left is completely not compliant. VisBug. Yeah. But it's quite fascinating. So, but again, like you said, that's 16 hours. That's a whole different discipline. Just to be able to do that. I think there are tools in Chrome for certain, but that VisBug tool is pretty good because you can do measurements, you can do all sorts in there. So that is exactly why I'm not stressing too much on Agile platform. I want to get it far enough along that I can actually get someone to take a look at it. And if it costs me several $100s to do it, I'll have to make my decision. Is water drink water disability compliant? Well, again, water drink water is the sort of project where we can explore that sort of stuff on stream, right? That's the sort of stuff where we need to talk about that. We got a massive push on accessibility in a minute. Going to give this VisBug thing a try. Cheers. Nice. Glad it could maybe help. What's the Lighthouse score? I'm not sure. Let's have a look. Chrome. Oh. Is that WCAG? Okay, no worries. There you go. Lighthouse uses the @core library to power its accessibility score. Lighthouse. There you go. Lighthouse is an open source automated tool for improving the quality of web pages. You run it against any page, public or requiring authentication. Okay. So yeah, okay. So that's basically Lighthouse here. Oh. So performance-wise, it's terrible. Accessibility is awesome. Perfect best practices. Totally not supported as PWA. And SEO-wise, it could even be considered SEO. 4.8 seconds. Yeah, that's impressive. There you go. So you can run Lighthouse. I don't even want to think what that looks like for Agile platform. Okay, so I'm not getting much. Ironically, I'm not getting much progress made on this today. So ultimately, this members view model. So we've said this is a group, and then it has members, and they have progress. What's it not doing? Well, right now, this is working as I intend. This is what I'm trying to do is trying to move forward with the actual project and not worry too much. I mean, ultimately, this probably wants to be styled. It'd be kind of cool if we could have like a progress bar that had kind of the water going along, similar to how this goes up. That'd be pretty sweet. So ultimately, probably not the best control for this. We don't have the API hooked up, so we haven't built the API for this, but we kind of need to presume that it's going to be in there. So member view model, I think a member view model, it's okay to have that. Public int progress. Equals 0. And then in here, this would be member.progress. Oh, you changed this. You can't do that. Oh no, that's not that one, is it? Do you want to start your app always? So now that's got nothing coming down. So what we need to do now is make the API side of that return progress in that view model, and then this would just work. And again, I'm trying to break up work into client versus API, because yes, you could consider this a slice, right? I could say, oh, well, I'm working on this feature, therefore I need to go up and I need to work on this on the slice. But I'm trying to build this client against the API, not for the API, or rather, I'm not trying to build the API for the client. I'm trying to build an API first, and then the client. So it poses that challenge of, separating the behaviors, right? This client is a demonstration, not an actual. Again, if you think you can do better and you want to show off, here's an actual application built and demonstrating all these features done well, you can commit, or you can do a PR with your own project in here, right? So again, naming wise, and that's what this is intended to do, right? If you want to show off and say, hey, by the way, you can build this client way quicker and way simpler, and use all the same things. It's a good compare and contrast, right? Because we all have different ways of building the application. Especially with my Blazor knowledge, this is never going to be perfect. And even then, it's only here because of other people, right? So we go to, hey, we want to build slices. Then I would automatically now move to the API and do the API components, but I don't want to get into that pattern here, because I don't want to get into a pattern of making changes in the API to support this client. I want to question what data should come out of the API, what should I be using? So I think as far as that story goes, we're kind of next to the user in the friends list. If their goal set, should see a percentage towards their goal for the day. It should not see a number, as this encourages friendly motivation. Apex, hello, good morning. How are you doing? So to that point, this bar is never going to show, oh, they've drunk 8 fluid ounces. I'm not bad. It's Monday. See how that goes. Yeah, this bar is never going to show, hey, they've drunk 8 fluid ounces. It's only ever going to show a percentage towards the goal. So again, if you're at 9% and they're at 0% and it's 8 o'clock in the morning, that's okay. But if you're at 9% and they're at 50% during the day, then you can expect a nudge, right? That's the idea. You can usually get a nudge to say, hey, you probably want to drink some more water, right? So the aim is not one of competition, more friendly support. So I think that piece is actually achieved. So we have the progress bar, and it's just a Fluent progress bar right now. We've added the pieces in for the Fluent UI, and we've added the progress to the member view model. So display member progress in Fluent progress bar for now. Push that feature. So the challenge I have here now is I have this PR, and I'm gonna merge it just to move forward, because what I like to do is get to the point where I'm doing a PR so that it stays out there and anyone can review the PR, so that it can continue kind of demonstrating that process, right, where you're able to review a PR and do that sort of stuff. But in the name of progress, we'll move on from that. So this is a Fluent layout. We added the header so we can kind of show the group and the group code. And then we show the list of members. Right now, this even shows you as being part of the group. So if you create a group, you will automatically be part of the group. So it will show your group with you in it. We added the style sheet for Reboot. We added the module for Fluent. And we added the progress in there. So there's not really a lot of code in this change. We have to have done more than that. Surely. No, because we made the change to get the actual friends and groups in a previous PR, so this is a really simple one to do. So let's merge that one in. Development. So let's go over here. Issues. I should see a friend's percentage towards their daily goal. Water, drink water. Merge pull request. Confirm merge. Delete branch. I'm afraid, Manuel, I only speak English. So I'm afraid I'm unable to help you. There you go. Hello, I'm thinking about doing my final degree project on Oracle, but I don't know what could be interesting to investigate about it. Any advice? No worries, no worries. Final degree project on Oracle. I mean, it's funny because we were kind of talking about Oracle yesterday on a stream, and that it's not quite as used in the business area quite as much as it used to be. Mainly because it's a little bit more unwieldy and very expensive compared to other database options. If you're building a company these days, MySQL and Postgre are going to be easy go-tos. SQL Server is expensive, but it's a Microsoft product, so it's available in the cloud, etc. Oracle really doesn't, fit in quite the same way it used to, with the way that we're going very much cloud-based. So, I mean, from an interesting perspective, I would say maybe about how it's where its usage is, where it fits, how it's been kind of superseded by other databases and other technologies. I haven't kept up with Oracle, so I don't know what sort of support they have for other things. Most of the other databases these days have, support for JSON fields and, there's technologies around Oracle, such as PL SQL, that other databases don't have that concept. It depends on what you're going for, as far as, and I apologize to you, to Twitch, because YouTube chat doesn't come into Twitch. I can't get Restream to do that for me, apparently. Okay, so we close that issue. Let's go here. So, I mean, yeah. I think if I was going to give any advice on the Oracle idea, it would be basically try and look at, how it's kept up and is it still as relevant as it once was, with the modern cloud environment. I have not seen any jobs requesting Oracle in a while. I'm looking mainly for, when I'm looking for jobs, I'm looking for mainly .NET jobs. So, okay, so let's delete that branch. So now what we need is on the API side to deliver the daily consumption. We don't actually have that, I don't think. What I've got to remember to do is not create an issue. I suppose it creates an issue all the time, doesn't it? If I go in here, so I'm trying to use this board to track work versus issues that are kind of reported. But here you can see I don't have the friend's water consumption. So let's create a new item as a API consumer. It should receive a friend's daily consumption. Friends progress towards their goal. Convert to issue. That's what it does. Yeah, convert to issue. I mean, Manuel, what made you pick Oracle as a thing, and what has interested you about Oracle? We need to return the percentage progress towards a user's goal when requesting the groups and friends. This should not be the actual assumed, should be a calculated. I'm going to assign me, save that. Let's got that there. There's me assigned to it. Let's make a new branch, and that is number 45. New branch, feature 45. Gather a return user progress. Okay, so this is actually a little harder than it might seem. So with the endpoints, we have the groups, and we have the get. The get returns get groups, which is this members. And now what we're saying is we want to have progress on here. Right, and this is a percentage. The challenge there is get membership for groups, go to implementation. This pulls the membership records, and from there it can go and get the account and whatever. But the percentage calculation is not easy there. So this might be a more complicated query. well, it's going to be a more complicated query. Right now, my repository returns models, and then we get that. So let's try this. From m in join I'm not going to benefit from doing that there. Let's go and look at So to calculate the percentage of progress for the user, we have to go and request all the logs for that day. And then we sum the fluid ounces consumed. And then we take the total consumed, divide it by the target, and multiply it by 100. That's our percentage towards our progress. And then we cast it to an int to get rid of any decimal places, because we don't need to be that accurate. So we kind of need this method here. And again, we need the preferences of the independent user, because if they're in a different time zone, their 24-hour period might not be the same as our 24-hour period, right? So you've got to offset appropriately to make sure you're including the right logs for that person. Because if they're in California and we logged something at 1 a.m. and they logged something at the same time, they logged it at 10 p.m. the previous day, right? So, what does that mean? Well, technically they haven't consumed anything for today, so our friends list is going to show 0 for the current day. If they log something at 1 a.m. their time, then it'll show, right? So, and that's the current day. Everything is being stored in the UTC at the DB level. Yes. We all set it based upon the user's time zone. So their day and our day is the same day. So, well, if it's, yeah, our times will align. So this will work if we use the same method. The challenge is right now, essentially what I'll need to do is do this calculation in SQL as best I can. Otherwise, that's going to cost, because then we're going to pull the data. Because right now, all these methods return enumerables, so they too list normally, right? I don't want to do that. I kind of want to move this to a, and this is exactly why this project is the way it is, right? Is doing things that maybe I wouldn't do, maybe that will cause an issue down the line. This will cause an issue because this will too list this. So if I want to say, go and get me all the members, then go and get me their consumption, I can't stay in the database. So I'd actually have a list of members. I'd loop through that list in memory. For each one, I'd make another query to go and get all their logs. And then I'd actually have to do that. So maybe this one isn't sufficient. So the group repository, maybe this looks more like enumerable. We'll go with object for it in a second. Get. So the problem is, yeah. If the same person exists in multiple groups, I don't want to recalculate them either. That would be expensive. So if I do this per group, and let's say I have 3 groups and I add my brother to all 3 groups, I don't want to go and create another set of queries every time to go and pull that same person. Their progress is their progress regardless of the group they're in. So I can optimize there. That's an easy optimize. That's not something I'm trying to over optimize for. That's a logical thing to do. Now this here, I know the groups that are for me. So that's in the same repository. So the group repository here. So get groups. That's groups for me, where I am the owner, I am a member, right? So let's do that. So if we flip this and we do a query of go and get me all the users and then group them by group ID. Yeah, public IEnumerable object. Get, what is this? This is, we'll come back on that name. So using var context equals factory. Because if I do it the way I'm currently doing it, what's going to happen is I'm going to keep opening and closing connections to the database. Because every time, I mean, it'll pool, but it's still, there's a cost there, right? I'm going to go and get the data. I'm going to loop through the data. I'm going to do this extra thing. I'm going to get this extra data. I don't want to join all these methods together at this point. I want to try and make this a SQL query, and it should be doable. We just got to piece the things together. Sorry. So we need the group, and we're going to need. We don't need those includes right now. We're going to need that, right? That gets us our memberships. I'm literally going to pull all the pieces into here that I know I need, and then I'm going to build the query. And testing this, the unit testing of this is not possible because it's all database stuff. Well, it's possible, but if you're using SQL, if you're using Entity Framework, that query it's not worth unit testing because you're going to use an in-memory database, and that's useless for this piece. Because it's never going to work the same way as the actual SQL. So it's just a waste of time. Okay, so then now we have the preferences. So we need the user preferences, right? And with the preferences, oh, that's going to be painful. That won't translate to SQL. We might have to create a lookup table of the preferences first. I mean, ideally they're all in the same time zone, but again, if I added my brother, and we're not in the same country, so yeah. So given preferences, we have the target. We might have to see if that will equate to SQL. It probably won't, because this time zone info won't translate. And what we're after is the hours, because we're going to offset the hours. And we get the logs. Right, because then what we do is we get the logs based upon the time zone offset. So we get the date. So then we kind of need that. And we actually just need order by, and then we kind of need the sum of that, right? Because we're not here, that's getting us the actual logs for the current day, whereas we just need the sum of those consumption, the consumption, where it matches. I'm going to take a very quick break. I just need to get some water, and I'll be right back. Okay, sorry about that. I'm back. Okay, so this is going to be fun. So let's comment that out for right a second, and then let's start to build this. So I'm going to start with we might not have an option to break this up into separate queries, because again, this stuff is not going to translate to SQL. But I need it to know for per user what time zones are in. So it might be that I have to do this I have to do a few passes here, but let's have a try. So members, let's go get the distinct members first. So from G in context.groups, that's an interesting query. Join memberships on group ID, join account on membership account ID, where the owner or the account, okay. So essentially, let's do preferences here. Let's join P in context.preferences on a.id equals p dot user ID. I called it user ID there again. Again, I'm being inconsistent between user ID and account ID, which is going to make confusing because you have to think, oh, does that mean something different than account ID, or is it user ID? What is that? So that's a dangerous thing to do. And then this is going to be, so I'm using groups to get to memberships, memberships to get to accounts, accounts to get to preferences. So now I have essentially account ID, and then I have what do I need here? Target equals p dot target fluid ounces, and time zone is the time zone ID from there. Okay. Distinct. So that gives us an anonymous object that is that contains everything we need. I have to to-list that. Because then essentially what I want to do is P goes to new, and then account ID equals P dot account ID target equals P dot target. I know these are redundant right now. Time zone offset hours equals time zone info dot find system by time zone. So I could make this a little quicker, I suppose, and say, well, go and get the distinct time zones, because if they're all in different time zones, then that's, but if it's only in one time zone, I can make it quicker. But let's make that time zone ID. Let's make this what do you want to do? What do you actually want to do? Oh, no. So we do the distinct to the SQL level. That gives us a list of unique users. And why does that want to do that? Use as enumerable. I think that still sticks it in SQL. The challenge here is I can't test this very simply without building a whole lot of stuff. So, yeah, we'll see how this goes. So if anyone's watching has any questions, thoughts, opinions on what I'm doing, you're more than welcome to share. This is not me, doing amazing things. So the get groups here, var test equals repository dot. Did I call it get memberships for group? What did I call it? Get all group memberships. I need to put that in the interface. Int account ID IEnumerable object group service get all group memberships. Let's run that, and then let's go over here. Get to water, drink water, basic requests, list my groups. So we're going to log in at nowhere.com test. What? Bad request. Oh. List my groups. Okay, so we need a breakpoint. Oh. Oh, the API is working. Yeah, the API is working. We got a breakpoint there. Okay, so list my groups. There's our parent token. There's our thing. Okay, so F11, F10. Did this give me that? Did not give me what I wanted to. Oh no, there we go. Account ID 1, target 250 times 107, -5. But there was 2 accounts in that group. So, oh dear. So it did give me, it did work, right? It did actually build something. But I don't think that's right, because the database, what was our account ID? Helps if you remember you're actually in the code. Account ID 1, right? So for account ID 1, we have 2 groups. For group 1 and 2, we have 1 and 2. There's no preferences for 2. So it would actually only include people who have preferences set. So let's test that. Test at test.com test. Oh no, Bob. Helps if you're running the application. That's still running. Let's log out. Test.test.com. Bob. Preferences 300. And he's in Punta Arenas. Right? So now for account ID 2, our preferences, preferences, account ID 2, target 300, -3. Interesting that they're 100, but whatever. Preferences. That's amusing. It's still not right though, because now we have those users. Let's go back and have a look at the API request. This is for user 1, remember? F11, F10, F10, F10. Oh, yeah, there we go. So we've got those two users. Now, sorry, that was bugging me. So now we can do, we almost do the exact same thing again, right? Var results equals, so we need this. But now we can join P in preferences on, so now we have our preferences there. We are going to need this var now. But that's going to be, now is relative. So that's interesting. Let's see how that goes, shall we? The challenge here is that a lot of this might not actually translate to SQL, and we're using SQLite, so that's even harder. It has less features, or fewer features, than full-blown SQL. Anything I do in here has to be able to translate, so I might hit issues with how to figure out this. So it might be that I have no option but to pull all this back out into objects and manipulate it as objects. But it's worth trying as one SQL query, or two SQL queries as it stands. Because again, you want to use the benefits of the database, right? You want to be able to get that data and use it to aggregate it. It's what SQL's built for, right? Pulling all this information together and doing the calculation and pulling it out. If you're manipulating objects in memory and you're having to move things around, then you're just creating more of a mess. Whereas I can just do it on one connection, get that data back. So if this was real SQL Server, again, I don't want to be I don't want to be repeating all these calls, right? So if I can kind of collect the data together, then that's best. So what I want here is g dot ID, the account ID. The target, again, doesn't matter. So all we're doing is calculating the percentage here. So progress is, right, so we're going to do from, right, where account ID, where user ID equals account ID, and l.consumed.on.add hours p dot times 1 offset hours dot date equals let now equals, this is where this gets a bit messy, because now is add hours p dot times 1 offset hours dot date. This might not translate again to SQL. select L dot fluid ounces dot sum. And then the percentage calculation, obviously. So now that gives me the total consumed. We need our target. So again, our calculation, right, is get preferences. Is it in a consumption repository? Oh, it's in the service, that's why, the consumption service. So that's our total. So we need to divide it by, so we need this. This is going to be challenging, right? So we need int divided by p.target multiplied by 100, where that is a float. If you do it, if you don't cast these in the right way, you end up with weird inaccuracies. Well, let's do it this way. If this works, I'm lucky. Not definitely not down to skill. If our preferences, there we go. Link expression, db set group. Yeah, it doesn't like it. Invalid operation. So what we might need to do, well, let's work out what's wrong first. My bet is that now doesn't work. Let's comment that out, and let's set progress equals to context.logs.sum. L goes to L.user_id equals m.account_id and L.consumed on. No, I don't actually want the full thing. I want that. Oh, that's not how sum works. Okay, that'll give me the sum. Let's see if that works. I don't think that will, because I think it's this that's not translating, so I think it will still break. I'm just making sure that I don't have weirdness in the calculation there. I think it's honestly this. Yeah. So the problem there is we don't have let's I mean, that's now not being used, so it's not gonna bother. You could join the logs too. Yeah, I'll still need the date. I mean, it's the date comparison that's getting me, I think. Maybe not. Doesn't like something, does it? Let's remove that. Surely it's not preferences. It's causing me the problem. Hi, Apex, by the way. How you doing? Ah, maybe it is. But I shouldn't really complain though, because I mean, it doesn't matter that you're joining. Let's put that back in. Let's take that out. I need the preferences joined to get the data I need. And yeah, I could join logs so to try and get this out, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. The nested query doesn't really. Ultimately, I'm going to have to end up grouping this anyway. Because I want per group ID. Okay, do this. I'm wondering, is this the preferences? I don't think that's going to make a difference. As enumerable does not behave the same way as toList. Yeah, it doesn't like to select object. The link expression. Join. Can either rewrite the query in a form that can be translated or switched for a client. I mean, I could still get all the chunks of data that I need. Like, I'm repeating this here. Oh no, it's not. Try membership. I know that query works, so I'm not worried. But it's definitely preferences, because if I remove that, which now makes this a completely useless query, that'll work. If it doesn't, that's impressive. Yeah, there you go. So we got that. So it's definitely the preferences join that causes that problem. Preferences need to be iQueryable, I guess. So go to that's enumerable on two list. Right, but it can't be iQueryable because it's this makes it impossible to make iQueryable. Like, we can try, but I think that because this won't translate to SQL. That needs to be able to translate, and it can't do that. Join P in preferences. Right. If that works, that's great because it means I do have iQueryable there. But I don't think it will. I have joined collections in before. Because it kind of joins it as like a temp table. I have had that, unless it just doesn't work in SQLite, right? Results. Oh, that worked. Let's try. Let now equal. What's the worst that happens, right? It crashes. Oh, there you go. Times, yeah, there you go. So when I went to use it, it mapped it. I think I mentioned last stream, I know you set the current project to be WASM for the purpose. For the best developer experience, I recommend to do your active development running Blazor server and point it as shared RCL. Yeah, this is a WASM project. So, you mean developer experience in terms of speed? Like, because if the project gets beyond the size it's at, it's going to become more unwieldy. That's not a good. That's not a good. What's the word? What am I thinking of? Rude edit some Blazor server. Right. It's just a better experience. So, kind of hack the tooling together in a way that isn't described, that you have to have the knowledge of. Sorry, impromptu meeting. Always rambling geek. But that's your experience of Blazor that's allowing you to understand that you can do that, and that is not the way that people would use this, right? I don't want to set up a complicated. You can, if you're interested, you're more than welcome to set up a you could do a folder here and have blazor.deflux and do the projects in there. I'm more than happy for you to do that if you can demonstrate that. Why it's a better experience. If you have the time, that would be useful. But the problem is with that is it's your knowledge of Blazor that allows you to understand that you can do that, and I don't have that knowledge, and so to me, I'm like, okay, well, this is working, and then I'm going to get frustrated with all those edits. Okay, so we can't do this because ultimately what happens is this cannot get translated to SQL. So the moment I actually go and use the data, it can't translate. I mean, that's one of the awesome features of Blazor or Razor. is you can write a Razor file. Well, I mean, it's kind of what they've been working towards for 20 years. So you think they'd get it eventually. But even then, it's still a challenge to do that. And I don't, as a developer who's trying to get an application built, I'm trying to build APIs, I'm trying to build a UI, I'm not really understanding how to develop that. And the guides don't show me that. Right, I have to dig deeper and get more experience on Blazor to understand that that's possible. And even then, creating control libraries isn't. I mean, I've not seen many applications split out design. You're more than welcome to drop him in the Discord in the water drink water. I'm not debating that there's a better way. But that's the sort of thing that we'd have to dig into later and say, hey, look, here's a different way of doing this, and this is why it's better and why it helps. But out of the box, that's not the way I'm guided to develop an application, right? Straight away. If you go and look at how to develop a Blazor app right now, which again is so fragmented, does it start with the guidance on, hey, by the way, you should build all these out because it's a better developer experience, or it's a cleaner experience, or is it, here's a best practice later down the line? I wonder if I can do current day equals don't get me started on the right way to get started in Blazor. I don't even think MS knows. If you program right, you don't inject the DB content to the eraser component. It doesn't matter what Blazor mod you're using. Right, but a lot of the examples also contain, hey, by the way, inject your DB context. I think that with Blazor, Microsoft has suffered from missteps and misstarts on different side aspects of it, and they're trying to achieve something that in essence is really cool and extremely useful for developing applications, because if I don't have to leave C# and I can work in a mindset that hey, I've got access to this data, like I'm using an API here so I don't have to worry about DB context, right? But it's not how they show it a lot of the time, especially with Blazor Server. Yeah, if they can get to a point where it is super smooth and nice and easy, and there is a clear guidance on what is the right practice, then I think Blazor is definitely something that is useful. The problem is it's very unfriendly. What is wrong with accessing your DB right from your front end? Desktop apps do it all the time. And I suppose if you're blurring the lines and making a Blazor app that is both web and desktop app, then yeah, that might actually make it more confusing again. You aren't wrong about that. If you're looking for a good resource, which I don't think you really want to sink so much time into this, Patrick God has a good pattern. It's very similar to the one I ended up naturally heading towards. I'm trying to find a good video to start on the state for Blazor in .NET. It's very easy to blur the line. And I'm going to continue using Blazor, right? I'm not absolutely anti-Blazor, but I think that I'm trying to be balanced in my approach to it, because again, I'm saying, hey, here's a guy that has developed a lot of software. By the way, I hate Blazor is not the right way to think about it. Is I'm struggling with Blazor because it's not, and you know, client side is not my specialty. If you've been in the stream for more than 5 minutes, you know that it's not somewhere I'm super comfortable anyway. So even if you put me in Angular, I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, look at all these things and look at this best way of doing this, and etc. So I'm not exactly demonstrating best practices no matter what I'm doing. But it is indicative of the struggles that someone who doesn't understand more about all these pieces is going to come up against, and especially when the demonstrations show DB context inside of Blazor components and stuff. That's where that bugs me the most, because yeah, I can't conceptually split them. Nice, thank you, Defless. Appreciate that. Nice. And maybe we can take a stream and we'll review them and go through things. And because again, the idea here is if you have a better way of doing this application, right, you can demonstrate it if you want to, and make a PR. That's the purpose of having the clients all split out and the API distinct, so that it's possible to say, hey, using the same API, you can develop the app in a very different way and it'll work way better, right? Because I know there's people out there that are going to say, hey, here's the right way to do it. Be right about this stream makes me thirsty. No worries. I just have to remember to get water when I'm doing these streams. Okay, well let's see if this works any better. So now we've got that. We have to to-list this, right? Add hours equals now. So then this would be p.current date. And then we still need time zone offset hours as being this, unfortunately. That's offset as a word. I post recommended videos to your Discord, but I need to verify their videos I want to endorse. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, I don't dislike Blazor. The more I'm building with it, the more I'm actually, okay, I can see how this is useful. Like, it's productive. There are things that I want to understand. Like you mentioned state, right? So I've been using in Angular, using the NGRX signal store, because having the application state maintained in the client and being able to move around the application without making API calls everywhere is a very useful thing. And also, if I'm pulling data from multiple sources and combining them, because again, right now this API is all the data it needs to be, right? It's not just everything is separate, but in the main app, there's a lot going on. Those views are hard to combine, which means watching through them first. In any case, yes, there are ways, not necessarily better, but definitely a way that I found easy to follow that involves structuring the application so it doesn't matter what type of application you put on top of it. Whereas WASM only server, render mode auto, desktop using WPF or MAUI, and all the rest. Same UI and core library backend. Yeah. But again, that takes a lot of, that's got a lot of your knowledge in it, right? Oh. What does preferences look like? Preferences, account ID, target, time zone offset, current date. Yeah, okay. I mean, the gold standard I look at in Financial Manager app. Well, I mean, all like Mr. Anhorn, One Lion, Defaults, you're all amazing Blazor developers, without doubt. So I definitely respect your opinions on the tooling. I'm definitely, I'm not closed-minded to learning more. I live for TBD to open up that open. I live for TBD to open that open, like walk through and run that project. TBD gamer. You really should only use it as a step to finding a better approach. Yeah, that's kind of what I mean when I run into a jam. I go and see how you do the same thing in financial management. Okay, so that's not going to work. Oh, actually, what didn't it like about that before I go too far down? Thank you for the translation. Shy, hello, how you doing? Oh, don't use me as a Blazor resource. I'll probably use it all wrong. But you've done some amazing things and have done since day one with Blazor, right? You're the first person that I met that was a big Blazor advocate, and you've done a lot of very cool things within it. So, doesn't mean it. Again, we all have our different ways of developing. We all already have, we all differ in how we'll approach software. So, right and wrong is all meh. Gonna learn soon though. I'm gonna play a lot of Minecraft today for my birthday. It's your birthday today, Shy? Happy birthday. Rewrite. How do you roll? Using could not be translated. So it's the preferences again, right? So that would be that as enumerable. But now I'm back to the problem of I can't join them in as a list. Nice. Minecraft for your birthday. So we are literally 1 week apart. My birthday's next Monday. That's cool. Although I don't think I'll be Minecrafting. No. Well, may your birthday be nice. Are you doing anything other than that? Are you getting a nice meal? Is Dragonborn cooking for you? Okay, so this is... We don't need that, I don't think. I think we can get preferences anyway. I think preferences compiles, it's just now it's trying to join that in. When this is something the client can do, the server speaks, you see it only, and the client gets the time zone information, displays the time accordingly. We could consider it, but again, the purpose of this is to try and make the API do the work so that the client just gets the data. If I move the responsibility down to the client, then, and again, don't forget then, my time zone and your time zone are not the same. So making the client do it isn't gonna do anything different here. I just checked my interrupt generator. It's at 126 stars. Who is starring this thing? I've been updated since 2021. But UTC is UTC. But today is not today. All the timestamps will be relative to your today on the client that you're looking at, not the day of the person. So that's why we put in the time zone offset of the person, the preferences, so that their today is your today. It time gets messy, and again, calculating this on the client isn't something you want to do in it, because that's pushing the responsibility down to the client to do the work, and passing all this data down to the client and telling them to work with it. It's not just about UTC, it's about that person. Again, this person's offset and this person's offset are different offsets. So the actual calculation of the current day. Tonight we'll eat turkey slices in pepper sauce, one of my favorites. We just need to heat it up. Very easy. Nice. Well, enjoy your Minecraft, Shy, and I'll see you around. And happy birthday once more. Thank you for coming in. But again, yeah, the client, I wouldn't want the client doing this work, because again, we wanted to get the consumption. But it's not the time zone display. This is not display. This is the logs for that person for the current day. So if I'm looking at this, I want, and you're my friend, but you are in a different time zone, right? If I add something at 1 a.m. on Monday, well, that's, if you're 2 hours behind, that's 11 a.m. on Sunday for you. That if you logged water at 11 a.m. on Sunday, I don't care, right? So the time zone offset is why we selected the time zone offset, right? It's why we put it in there. So it's not a UI concern in that respect. This is the data that we're translating to say, hey, for the same day, how much water have you drunk, right? If you drank water at 11 p.m. on Sunday, and I drank it at 1 a.m. on Monday, I've drunk water on Monday, you haven't, right? So it's that's why this is a little bit more complicated. But again, I wouldn't want to push this down to the client, because then the client only has the context of, well, I could push all the data, I could push all the offsets down to the client, but again, then the client has to make all this calculation. And then again, if we're going into the whole, if I've had water on Sunday and you've had on Monday, how much water has one line had? These are the riddles we need to solve. We need a spec on what is today. Yeah. So again, like if you look, today is it's actually the server. Well, it's UTC now, and then we add that uses offset, right, to UTC now. This is deliberately, well, it's not deliberately, it kind of identifies just the challenges that come with time, naturally. And we kind of went through this when we actually did this. It sounded more like you were just displaying the data return. No, the aim here is to make sure that, and I can't demonstrate it right a second because I've broken everything, but when I show the friend's progress, it is for the same day, right? We're all working on the same day. So it will get all the logs for Monday, and it will calculate water you've drunk on Monday, given your offset. If you have one bucket with 3 gallons and one bucket with 5 gallons, how many buckets do you have? Is that Die Hard 3? That's the only one I can think of off the top of my head with buckets. The water buckets. Oh. Idiocracy. I've not seen that movie. The only one I can think of with water buckets is Die Hard 3. Or Die Hard with a Vengeance, as it is actually called. Okay, well, I'm going to have to obviously consider this. You know, if you have other ideas, if you have other thoughts on how I'd approach this, again, pushing this down to the client in this instance is not really ideal, because the client shouldn't be making that sort of decision as to how to do the groups and the calculations of offsets, etc. This can be done. Obviously, I could just combine all the calls and have all those calls to the database handled and just collect the data and do it all in memory. Well, I'm trying to stay in SQL for as long as possible here, but that might not actually be feasible, right? Mainly because of this, right? So there are other options, but I have overshot. So, I'm assuming there's no interest. If anyone was interested, I would commit this as a broken commit, so anyone can look at it. So if you are interested, let me know. If not, I will not commit this to the GitHub. Committing broken code is never something I want to do. We need some new people to raid. We really need some more developers. So for me to do a PR, download, make a branch, you fork the repository. There's some directions on the actual page. You fork the repository so you have your own version of it. Make a branch that is, you know, making the changes or adding your own client. And then you make the PR back against the main repo. And then we review it on stream. This is definitely a hard one because there's a lot of what ifs. What if the user was previously tracking their WAS schedule in Eastern time, then they moved to a place in GMT, then checking historical date tracking, but I just went through a lot of thought process on how to make a decision on how to store retrieve data. Yeah, and that's exactly why this seems like a really small project with no real complexity. But when you get to this, it actually adds an immense amount of complexity that you would actually really face, right? If you were doing this sort of stuff, if you were tracking, say, meters or Dukas, right? Where you track them, when you track them, might actually have relevance, and you know, so it's actually quite a large problem in a very small project that does give some flex. Anything with dates and displaying data filtered by date instantly makes it super complex for me. Super complex for most people. It's not an easy challenge, and because you can't necessarily easily test and you can't visualize, right? You've got to come up with some way of demonstrating, oh, when it's this and this, because maybe we could kind of do that. Maybe I could go through and identify, you know, visualize, okay, here's the actual problem. And again, this one is a very small thing, but and you're right, if I change the time zone, then it's broken as well. But it's why we added the ability to, well, we added the necessity to set your time zone. And if you look at the number of apps, you'll start to realize a lot of apps actually ask you to set your time zone. And once it's tracking data, that's why. Less than and less than or equal to is my default issue with date. Tom Scott has a great computer file on time. Yeah. Time is a challenge for certain. We also noticed as well that doing this time zone ID stuff, if we pass this down to the client, it breaks, because the client, when we're using Blazor WASM, has basically the Linux time zone information, and this, because I'm running on Windows, has the Windows time zone information. So these time zone IDs are not the same time zone IDs. So they break. You know, there's all sorts of little quirks and stuff there. Yeah. So deflux, yeah, if you're interested, there is some basic instructions on the front page. If you feel they need improvement, also please let us know. You're more than welcome to, but what you do is you fork the repository so you get your own version of it. So you have deflux/water drink water. You make your changes on a branch there, and then you make a PR back to TBD friends, water drink water, and then we review it on stream. Handling time and time zones and leap seconds and going insane. Absolutely, yeah. Time is a challenge. So anyway, let's go into C# Fritz. He's working on Aspire, so it seems more appropriate. I kind of like to go from dev to dev rather from dev to app dev rather than app dev to game dev, because it's not always the most friendly jump. But I'm always open to new streamers. If you find some and they are doing app dev, please let me know. If not, I'll have to run. I've got to go get ready for work. I will be back tomorrow. We'll continue this challenge then. And yeah, if you need anything, if you want to have any questions, the Discord's always there. So thank you all. Thank you for contributing. This has been a lot of fun. Some good discussion, as always. Take care all. Have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you around in other streams. Thank you all. Bye.